Have you ever wondered why some people seem to exude a quiet power, an influence that doesn't demand attention, but commands it all the same? They walk into a room and suddenly the energy shifts. People become more attentive, more careful, more reflective. These individuals don't rely on loud words or dramatic gestures. They rely on something far more potent: presence. But presence isn't about being constantly seen, constantly heard, or perpetually available. In fact, the more you make yourself always accessible, the more invisible you actually become. It's a paradox few people understand. And today I want to take you deep into this paradox, into the realms where philosophy meets human psychology, where your silence becomes your strongest statement, and your absence becomes the space where you finally meet yourself. Imagine for a moment stepping back from your usual patterns. You stop reacting to every message, every demand, every provocation. You don't ignore them out of arrogance. You withdraw from them with awareness. What happens then? The people who have come to expect your instant responses, your automatic compliance, your predictable reactions, they begin to feel unsettled. They realize that the version of you they knew was, in truth, only a fragment that you yourself were trapped within. But let's get honest. Why do we find it so difficult to create this distance? Why do we stretch ourselves thin trying to meet every expectation? The philosopher Epictetus reminded us that we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. And this couldn't be more relevant when we look at how we allow ourselves to be manipulated. We think we're choosing to engage, but often we're simply repeating learned behaviors, patterns taught to us since childhood, patterns of approval, seeking, patterns of people-pleasing, patterns of fearing rejection more than we fear the loss of ourselves. What would happen if you disrupted these patterns? If you stepped back, not to punish, but to protect? If you reclaimed your psychic energy, as Jung would describe it, allowing it to flow inward, nurturing your own depths instead of feeding the endless appetites of those around you? When you withdraw strategically, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, the people who took your attention for granted find themselves faced with a void. And that void is powerful, because within it they are forced to confront themselves, and most people will do anything to avoid that confrontation. They'll provoke you, they'll guilt you, they'll attempt to pull you back into the familiar dance. But this is where your real power emerges, not in controlling them, but in no longer allowing yourself to be controlled by their reactions. The world will test you. It will push your buttons. It will try to make you feel that your silence is a weakness, that your distance is a flaw. But those are illusions crafted by a society that fears the individual who cannot be easily categorized, easily manipulated, easily owned. Think of the Stoics. Think of Marcus Aurelius, writing in the midst of wars and betrayals. He knew that the only thing truly within his power was his own mind. Everything else, opinions, insults, demands, were external noise. And you have that same choice. Every single day. The choice to allow the noise in, or to hold the line of your own boundaries, your own peace, your own sovereignty. But let's not mistake this for indifference. This isn't about becoming cold, hard, or unreachable. It's about becoming discerning. It's about knowing that your time, your attention, your energy, these are your most precious currencies. And not everyone deserves them. Not every conversation needs a reply. Not every conflict requires your participation. And here's the beauty of this approach. When you stop giving yourself away so cheaply, when you stop being the emotional sponge for everyone else's chaos, you create space. Space for clarity, space for authentic connections, space for your own growth. Because now, finally, you are living on your terms, not as a reaction to others.